Well, hi. Today I'm installing a new shock absorber, new mono shock in the back of my 2009 K1300 GT. Actually, I've already done all that work as far as the installation of the new shock goes. Here's the old one. That's pretty bad. Totally leaked all its fluid. Motors are still working. But they're terribly expensive when you buy them. So I bought a used one and I'm hoping it works. They say it'll work, and it was $500. Like, I think it's about $3,000 to buy a new one. In any event, what this video is really about is you have to take a good part of the rear end of the bike apart in order to do this work. And one of the things you have to do is you have to take out the swing arm and put in the new shock, to take the old one out and put the new one in. Well, part of that process now is you got to take out the drive shaft, and you can see the end of the drive shaft right back here. I've already put it back in. What I'm really doing here is suggesting you make a tool kind of like I did in order to get that drive shaft back in. And I'll show you real quick what the shop manual says. So here's a shot of the shop manual, and what it essentially says is push the universal shaft into the gearbox output shaft using a suitable tool to lift the front spline section. Well, the thing is that the drive shaft has two universal joints on it, one on either end, and if you just try to push it in to the end of the gearbox, you're not going to get there, because that universal joint allows the crankshaft to kind of drape down, and it catches on an edge. So you need to make a suitable tool like they're talking about, and I'll show you what I used. It worked for me. Maybe it'll work for you. All right, here we are back at the bike. So the drive shaft is already back in, and you can see the end of it sticking out right here, which will get connected later to the rear wheel drive. The issue I'm talking about, and I showed in the manual, is right up here. What you have to do is you have to lift the splines up in this direction so they're straight in alignment with the engine, or the transmission in the engine, right in here like this. As you can see, the drive shaft angles up, and the universal joint allows the front end of the drive shaft to droop down, and it catches on an edge down here. So what I did is I took an old screwdriver like this, and I made a tool, and it seemed to work. What I did is I created this so that there's actually a little space in here that allows you to get some tool in here. I can't do it now because the drive shaft's already in there. But the way it works is you put it in there, twist it on down, roll it over like this, and now you're inside. And once you're inside, you can see with this little scooper I made, I can twist it like this and lift up right back here by the universal joint so that it aligns it in a straight line to go into the transmission, and then push and jiggle it around and it'll go in. This is after about an hour and a half of messing around with this thing. I finally decided, I tried a straight screwdriver and it just wasn't working for me. You couldn't get back in there. So I made this little guy, and you kind of get the idea of what it looks like. Basically a straight screwdriver, just heat it up with a torch so it's nice and malleable and can be bent, and then put it under some cold water so that it hardens again before you do it. So you can see it's just a matter of bending it over, bending this direction. What you're trying to do is get something that looks like this. And you can see from this angle, even though it's on the outside, probably, I mean, you can't see inside anyway, you can lift that drive shaft up. This thing is a real bear to get back in. But I got it in there. That's all that counts. I did make one more tool. I'm not really sure it would have been required, but when you look at the manual, to refer to a tool, that takes out this this piece of the swing arm bearing, which is the static one. So what holds this in are these three outer bolts. This inner bolt, as far as I can tell, the only thing it does is you remove it and then you attach this tool in order to pull out the, not the bearing, but the stud that's static on the swing arm. And I'll show you what that looks like, that I made anyway. It looks like this. So I had a bunch of pipe laying around, miscellaneous stuff, and I just made this little tool here, which essentially has the bolt on the end, like this, which you then screw into where that center bolt comes out, and then you have essentially a hammer in reverse. So now I can simply, I'm trying to do this here so it works so good, you can pull back like this, and it just bangs it right out of there. Although I gotta say, it took almost no effort for it to come out. I suspect you could loosen that bolt a little bit and just pull it out with a vice grip or something, is my guess. But BMW, true to form, has a special tool for it, and I thought, well, I'll fab something up. So anyway, there it is. I hope it helps you out in getting this thing out of here. Replacing the shocks on this thing is a real bear. Everything is just totally buried in there. I'm not quite finished with the project, but that's the piece I wanted to share.